Puss in Boots. Once upon a time, there was a poor miller who had 3 sons. When the miller passed away, he left each of his sons something. To the eldest son, he left the mill. To the second son, he left the donkey. And to the youngest son, he left a cat. Now, the youngest son wasn't thrilled about this. "What am I supposed to do with a cat?" he thought. He couldn't make money with it, or so he thought. But little did he know, this was no ordinary cat. The cat could talk, and he had a plan. "Don't worry, master," the cat said. "Get me a pair of boots and a bag, and I'll make sure you're taken care of." Though he wasn't sure what the cat was up to, the young man trusted him and found a pair of boots for the clever feline. Puss in Boots' plan. With his shiny new boots and a bag over his shoulder, Puss got straight to work. He knew that the nearby king loved to hunt, so Puss went into the fields and used his clever tricks to catch some wild game, rabbits, pheasants, and birds. Then, he brought these animals to the king's palace. "Your Majesty," Puss said with a bow, "these gifts are from my master, the Marquis of Carabas." Now, of course, Puss had made up this name. His master wasn't a marquis at all. He was just a poor miller's son. But the king, impressed by the fine gifts, was curious about this Marquis of Carabas. Every few days, Puss would bring more gifts to the king, each time saying they were from his master, the Marquis of Carabas. The king grew more and more interested in meeting this mysterious nobleman. A royal encounter. One day, Puss learned that the king and his daughter, the princess, were taking a ride by the river. This was the perfect opportunity for the next step in his grand plan. "Master," Puss said, "if you do exactly as I say, you'll be rich and happy soon. Just trust me." His master, having nothing to lose, agreed. Puss led his master to the river and told him to jump in and pretend to be drowning. As they were waiting, the king's carriage approached. Puss began shouting, "Help! Help! My master, the Marquis of Carabas, is drowning." The king immediately stopped his carriage and sent his servants to rescue the Marquis. Once they pulled him from the river, Puss explained, "While my master was bathing, some thieves came and stole his clothes." This wasn't true, of course, but Puss was very good at spinning tales. The king, wanting to help, ordered his servants to fetch the finest clothes for the Marquis of Carabas. Dressed like royalty, the young man looked so impressive that the king invited him to join them in the royal carriage. And as soon as the princess saw him, she instantly liked him. Tricking an ogre. As they rode together, Puss ran ahead of the carriage to the nearby fields. He told the farmers working there, "When the king comes by and asks who these fields belong to, you must say they belong to the Marquis of Carabas, or else the ogre who owns them will be very angry." The farmers, afraid of the ogre, agreed. So when the king's carriage passed by, and he asked, "Who owns these fine fields?" the farmers replied, "They belong to the Marquis of Carabas, your Majesty." The king was impressed with the vast lands his new friend seemed to own. Puss continued to run ahead, visiting more farmers, all of whom told the king the same thing. Finally, Puss arrived at a grand castle where a giant ogre lived. This ogre was powerful and could transform into any animal he wished. Puss, ever the trickster, went to meet the ogre. "I've heard you can change into any creature," Puss said. "Is it true you can become something as big as an elephant?" "Of course," roared the ogre, and with a puff of smoke, he turned into a massive elephant. "Very impressive," said Puss. "But could you change into something as small as a mouse?" The ogre, wanting to show off, immediately transformed into a tiny mouse. Quick as lightning, Puss pounced on the mouse and gobbled him up in one bite. The ogre was no more. Happily ever after. When the king's carriage arrived at the ogre's grand castle, Puss greeted them at the door. "Welcome to the castle of the Marquis of Carabas," he said proudly. The king, impressed by the vast lands, the beautiful castle, and the young man's charm, decided that the Marquis would make the perfect husband for his daughter. And so the miller's son, with the help of his clever cat, married the princess, became rich, and lived happily ever after. As for Puss in Boots, he became a noble cat, living in luxury and enjoying his well-deserved reward for being the smartest and sneakiest cat around. The moral of Puss in Boots: cleverness and confidence can help you succeed in life, even when the odds are against you. Puss used his wits and quick thinking to turn a poor miller's son into a wealthy nobleman. It shows that thinking smart and being brave can make a big difference. Questions about Puss in Boots. 1. What did the miller's youngest son inherit from his father? 2. How did Puss help his master impress the king? 3. What name did Puss invent for his master? 4. How did Puss trick the ogre in his castle? 5. Who did the miller's son marry at the end of the story?
Little duck.